In less than an hour, the nonprofit Urban Triage will host a press conference to address findings in a News 3 Now Investigates piece that was published last week.
Our investigation detailed loopholes and a lack of vetting within the Dane County Human Services process for awarding contracts to local groups such as the Urban Triage.
Now, the author of the story is our content and assignment editor, Jason Cuevas, and he's here right now. Jason, thank you so much for joining us. We wanted to be sure to ask you some questions. Now, first, when did you start looking into this contract and what did you find?
So it started a couple months ago. We get a lot of stuff across the assignment desk. I have a long history, more than a decade in journalism. I was a newspaper reporter, I was a newspaper editor, eventually an assistant regional editor. So I've reported on a lot of county government, a lot of city government. I usually go through these things, and I got contracts that had an original contract for a small amount and a big contract for a bigger amount. But what struck me is the addendum, the addition to the contract, was dated before the original contract was signed. I'm like, that's not something I see a lot. I'm kind of curious what's going on. And in the process is where I discovered that this amount was being under $100,000. Let it bypass the county rule to have contracts over $100,000 go to a vote before the full board. And investigating these more is where I kind of discovered some discrepancies in the resumes that Urban Triage had provided as part of the application process for these funds.
So before we continue, I think we should kind of go over as far as the work that Urban Triage does. They're an advancement and community advocacy group. They work with underserved communities with housing, and they have like agriculture programs and things of that nature. So I don't want to lose exactly what they do, but you did reach out to Urban Triage. Who did you speak to from there, and what did you get in your conversation with them?
Yeah, I spoke to their CEO, Brandy Grayson, and what you might be surprised, it was very nice. I thought we had a very nice conversation. I was actually appreciative because in the course of this story, many people would not return any call. She was open. She was very candid. I know since the story has come out, she has not seemed to be as high on it was, but. I felt Brandy was really open about what happened and talked, to be perfectly honest with you.
And she's not the whole story. It sounds like the county's already been in touch. Today, you told me, suggesting that there were not any issues with the protocol. So explain that.
Okay, so I recently received an email from County Chief of Staff, Carrie Springer. And she references County Ordinance 2550. You can look this up at home. It's a short 4 or 5 paragraph ordinance. And it says that the Director of Human Services can sign a contract for over $100,000 if it was in the county budget. However, this was not. If you can look at the 2024 budget, go to page 681, it has an appendix of all the places that will get them. Urban Triage isn't listed. Well, Carrie Springer is saying that the funding was allocated for housing, for that counts. Now, the ordinance very specifically says contract. The word funding is not in the ordinance. It was also bizarre because she said that there was a services clause if services were going to run out, but that is not in 2550 anywhere. Like again, I said, short, it doesn't exist.
It's not connecting then, really.
No, and this is an excuse the county is using the beginning with talking to them with services going to run out. But the reality is, Catholic Charities said they were not going to do these funds quite a while before. Multiple people had their applications in for these funds in June on time, and the county budget wasn't voted on until November 6th.
Wow. Real quick, we're running low on time. This is a bit of a two-parter. Who else did you reach out to throughout this process, and is there anything else of importance that you feel as if we need to touch on before we go?
I talked to a lot of people. I talked to an ex-employee of Urban Triage. I talked to multiple county board members. Only 2 were willing to go on the record in any capacity, unfortunately. I talked to multiple people in the county office. I talked to other nonprofit leaders. Very few people want to go on the record with this, but I did get a lot of background information, most of which, I don't really like to share rumors and innuendo and things. Sure. So I'm very comfortable with what was put in as what we felt good and solid about.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Jason, and for all of your hard work. And you can find, if you're interested, Jason's full story on the homepage at channel3000.com, or read it with the free Channel 3000 mobile app. That's also where we'll be sending out any and all updates on this story.